In 2007, I had a double hip replacement. My new hips are made of metal. When I move around, the metal ball and the metal hip socket rub against each other and emit dangerous metal particles into my body. Those metal particles are poisoning. This poisoning has caused many complications and health issues for me, including severe hip pain, a squeaking implant, a noticeable limp, cardiac and neurological impairments, severe memory loss, tinnitus, vision loss, and chronic rashes. Unfortunately, things get even worse. Besides experiencing the complications listed above, the heartbreaking fact is that I'm rapidly going deaf. In January of 2014, I felt a dramatic change in my ability to hear things around me. I went to my primary doctor to get a referral for a hearing test. My doctor said, "Richard, I know that you have metal on metal hips in your body. And I heard that patients are having lots of problems with that. Let's take blood and urine tests for cobalt and chromium to see what your metal levels are." I agreed. And below are the devastating results of that test. A week later, I went for a hearing test, and it was confirmed. I had become deaf in my right ear. So I lost my hearing, and then immediately had lab tests, which showed that I had extremely high levels of metal in my system. Does anybody actually believe that these extremely high metal levels and the onset of my deafness was a coincidence? Then, if that wasn't enough, I found out that I was not the first person to become deaf after having a metal-on-metal hip replacement. In fact, I found out that cobalt metal poisoning has been causing deafness for years. Sadly, my follow-up visit in April 2016 shows that I'm rapidly losing the hearing in my left ear as well. Soon, I will be completely deaf. I cannot become deaf. My whole life, my whole essence, my whole livelihood is about communicating with others. Finally, the most upsetting and painful reality is that all of these years of metal poisoning has most likely shortened my lifespan. You cannot be poisoned for 10 years of your life without it eventually causing dire consequences. Even the FDA, the very agency that approved these metal-on-metal hips, has had great concerns about them. Even one of the largest companies in the world, Johnson & Johnson's Nephew division, made metal-on-metal hips. Their patients were suffering from the same complications that I am presently having. Johnson & Johnson has the best legal and medical teams that money can buy, and they themselves decided that the evidence was undisputable. They settled with their patients for $4 billion. What is more unbelievable is that Smith & Nephew continues to sell and market these hips, knowing full well they are potential health risks. Who is this Smith & Nephew? And why do they continue to sell these metal-on-metal Birmingham hips? Smith & Nephew is not a U.S. corporation. It is a foreign corporation who have had their share of improprieties, including the bribing of government officials. Here are some of their improprieties. In 2006, Smith & Nephew agreed to pay up to $3.5 million plus legal costs to settle a lawsuit over allegations of racial discrimination in their hiring, paying, and promoting of employees. In 2007, Smith & Nephew was part of a $300 million settlement to avoid criminal charges of conspiracy. Smith and Nephew settled for $28.9 million. In 2008, Smith and Nephew agreed to pay $11.3 million to settle allegations that it sold the U.S. government Veteran Affairs Department devices it claimed was U.S. made, but actually came from Malaysia. They were deceiving our government and our veterans, many who had severe combat wounds and who had put their lives on the line for our country. In February 2012, Smith and Nephew agreed to pay $22.2 million to settle a number of United States foreign corrupt practices, including an admission to a decade-long bribery scheme involving government-employed physicians in Greece. Do we need foreign companies coming into the United States of America and poisoning our people just to make a profit? The reason why Smith and Nephew is still making and distributing the Birmingham metal-on-metal hip is because they know that they are protected from any and all litigation, even if the patient suffers serious complications like myself. How is that possible? Here's how. When Smith and Nephew introduced these hips into our country, they filed a PMA with the FDA. What is a PMA? A PMA stands for pre-market approval. It's an application process that the FDA provides when a company wants to distribute and sell a new medical device in the United States. A PMA protects medical device companies from any and all liability, even if the device fails and causes irreparable harm to its patients. Many consider the PMA a flawed approval process, as stated in this public citizen report. It is yet another case of a billion-dollar industry lobbying Congress, making campaign contributions, and receiving special considerations for their industry. Many judges won't even hear the cases. This is completely unacceptable. The FDA has been wrong many times before, and they are wrong now. Not only has the FDA made many recalls on drugs they initially approved, they have made many recalls on medical devices as well. I would not have enough room or time to show you all the medical device recalls that the FDA has made through the years. Here is a list of their most recent recalls in 2016 and already in 2017. Smith and Nephew has left me no choice. I am taking my case to the streets of America. I am going city by city, state by state, to protest in front of every hospital that performs hip replacement surgery. I have bought a truck, and I have produced my message on that truck. I had professional picket signs, banners, and catalog sheets made. I have a host of friends and family members all around the country who know what I've been through and are willing to help me. I have a public relations firm that is ready to launch my entire campaign. I am all in. I will never stop. Smith and Nephew is a billion-dollar company, and they will try to use their money, power, and influence to stop me. My wife and kids still want me around. I just celebrated my 25th wedding anniversary with my wife. My son is off to college in the fall, and my daughter is a senior in high school. I will not cease and desist. When Smith and Nephew comes after me, I will represent myself. I cannot and will not pay for legal representation. My sickness has devastated our family's income. If this billion-dollar company manages to use its money, power, and influence to sue me or have me arrested, I will go on a hunger strike, and I will bring further attention to my cause. Although my life has most likely been cut short due to years of metal poisoning, I want to secure my wife and children's future.
He is the love of my life. And it has been so painful to watch him suffer both emotionally and physically through this ordeal with the blood poisoning and losing his hearing. It has just been beyond heartbreaking.
It's been pretty rough. Me and my dad always used to hang out, go camping and skiing all the time. He's had friends for about 50 years straight. That just goes to show what type of person he is. I love him and I hate to see him go down this road.
My father just means the world to me. He's my heart and soul, and I'm his little girl, and it's horrible for our entire family. It's just really hard for me to see him this way, and everyone sees him this way. He used to be such a vibrant person, and now he's just not. My dad is going to lose his hearing because of Smith & Nephew hip replacement.
The same person who is willing to buy a truck and travel across the United States to spread the word about the dangers of metal-on-metal hips is the same person who is willing to die for his cause. Anybody who knows me knows that when I say something, it will happen. For better or for worse, it will happen. This is a David and Goliath story, and this story will be told. To review anything that you've seen or heard on this video, go to my Smith and Nephew hips are poisoningme.com.